5, 4, 3.
What's up, you pencil neck geeks? Welcome to the world famous Comedy Store. This is the Store Horsemen podcast. It's your boy, the Darkitect, speaking. I'm not going to waste time with me. I'm unimportant. To my left.
Dude, none of us are important right now. Let's keep this thing moving. To my left.
The woken Matt Edgar.
Hey.
Hold on a second.
Rolling over.
All the way to the left. Our man, the Golden Pony, Tony Hinchcliffe. What's
Hello,
up,
everybody. Let's do it again. Let's have some fun here this evening. We have a special guest in studio. We're excited.
Indeed. In the corner, keeping notes, keeping the stats. The evil genius Eddie Furth right there. Drink single beer tonight for some reason. Johnny Skourtis, what's up?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
All right, look. You're on Facebook Live. You see it. You know what's going on. Jon Moxley's in the building, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, dude? What is going on?
Hey. I thought you were just going to skirt over brother here.
No, we got him.
I had a whole speech ready to defend him. I had to skip him.
You're a defender of the micless. I love that.
I love it. Yeah. Well, welcome. This is your first time at the Comedy Store, right?
Yeah, it is, man. Thank you guys for having me, man. I am humbled to be here, man. And the Comedy Store is the... if I'm not mistaken, it's the mecca of it's the holy grail.
Better
of,
believe it.
Comedy right now. It's the place to be. So it's cool to be here.
It really is.
Yeah.
We got you set up. You're going right into the show after this, right into the main room.
Yeah, excited to laugh. I love to laugh.
Heck yeah.
You'll be over it.
I'm a little intimidated hanging out with comedians. I don't have any comedian friends. So
really?
I feel like if I had one comedian friend, by default, he would be the funniest guy that I know.
Yeah.
Actually, he'd probably either be the most depressed or annoying.
Yeah.
I can see that, too.
I got news for you, buddy. You got, I think, 5 or 6 new comedy friends already since you arrived here. We're going to get you, make sure you walk out here with a Comedy Store t-shirt. It's basically like the NWO of comedy.
Basically.
Cool. Well, I mean, what I'm saying is I feel like you guys must be just laughing all day.
Yeah.
All
Or crying.
Yeah, but in between nervous breakdowns.
The switch is pretty crazy. It's high highs and low lows.
I
And
can see that. That's a good way to live life, though, man. You know?
Yeah.
And it's not that far. We've talked about this a lot in the past. It's not that, not that different in a lot of ways than being a traveling, working wrestler. A lot of airplanes, a lot of hotels, same carpet you see in every airport and hotel, same Uber or whatever driver picking you up.
I was going to say that. I think I'm sure I'm not the first person to ever say it, but the life of the comedian and just the world of being a stand-up comic, to me, I think, is very similar to being a professional wrestler. Like, follow guys like you and, see you guys tell your story on, podcasts or whatever, and how you guys put your stuff together and whatever. And it's like, there is a lot of parallels between pro wrestling and stand-up stand-up comedy.
It's also interesting how many comedians wanted to be pro wrestlers and vice versa. It's like there's like a link there.
It's definitely what I wanted to do.
Well, I don't know. You guys are hanging out in the basement. Hey,
that's where we belong.
That's how it starts.
Hey, it's cool to be a pro wrestling fan in 2019, babe. We ain't got to hang down here. Studio up there, man. Fuck Joe Rogan.
I love it. Shots fired.
Off top.
No, that was a joke because I was like, I was doing a little research because I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go on a podcast with a bunch of dicks.
Right.
So checking it out. I was watching a little bit of something with you today, and I did not know this till today, but so you were offered a job as a WWE writer.
Yeah.
And you turned it down.
Had to. I was already 4 or 5 years into this, and maybe 3 or 4 actually. Yeah, from 4, which was right when I was about to actually get to start actually surviving off of what I was doing, And
did you seek them out, or how did that happen?
Well, it was one of the ones where I had an agent for the first time ever right then, and they had some connection. I think they had a lit agent that mentioned, if any comedians that you have are wrestling fans, let us know, blah, 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 blah. And it was one of those things to where my agent back then got me a meeting with them, and I just tore it up in that one-on-one meeting. I think it was supposed to be more of a general meeting, but by the end of it, and I spilled my heart out, and I even pitched them storylines, and I don't think it was supposed to be that businessy, but I pitched them this whole thing about, this and that, and really you could tell that I was passionate about it and that I had a wild imagination. I also think he was intrigued by the comedian thing. There's been a few comedians that have written for them, Patrice O'Neill and some other guys, but man, to think of what I mean, it was definitely the right decision, because I can't believe I heard that there was like some 72 writers or something, right?
I don't know for sure. He would know better than me.
How miserable do you think I would have been? Just so you've known me for
Yeah,
about
off top, right. Yeah. Console your fellow Ohioan.
You made the right call.
Yeah. Thank you.
That is a very tough, very hard, very grueling, very thankless job.
Yeah.
And you would have hated it.
Yeah.
Here's where you fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Did they want you to sign a contract?
Not that day.
Then, see, what you should have tried to do is you should have done it for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Purely for the stand-up material.
There you go. There you go.
I like that.
Just hanging around backstage at WWE, hanging around with Vince,
Yeah.
all the characters of the circus that is the pro wrestling business, you would have had your next 4 specials worth of material. You could have based new characters and stories off of people from. You wouldn't even have to say who it was. You could have pretended it was like, oh, it was my uncle, but really it was somebody else. You know,
Right.
like you would have got so much material from working that closely with Vince.
Yeah.
If nothing else.
Yeah.
So you missed out on a lot of good material there.
That's where all the great sort of like nuggets come from, where it's like it's always like face to face with Vince and like the sort of inner workings of his mind and what comes out of his mouth based on that. Like what's that first meeting with him like?
So at first you're very intimidated by Vince.
Yeah.
He's, built up in your mind.
Is he wearing a chain around his neck, shirtless?
Yeah.
Oh, welcome. Step on in.
Loincloth.
It's like, how to my dinosaur.
The whole thing is weird. You're very intimidated by him. But eventually, for me, it got, they tell you got to have a personal relationship with Vince.
Sure.
So that he understands you and so forth, which I did, and I went out of my way to have. Mostly because I eventually just got sick of waiting for answers, because it'll be like, okay, what are we doing tonight? Well, we don't know yet. We got to wait for approval of this or that. And there's like a producer and this guy. There's like 4 levels that you have to get to before you get an answer. And Vince is busy doing all of this other stuff. If you're not the most important thing, you might be like waiting around like, what are we doing? Are we doing option A or B?
Right.
I don't care. I want option C. What are we doing? We don't know. I'd be like, I'm just going to Vince. Screw it. So then you just knock on his door, walk in, and it's actually, he loves when people just come in and talk to him, because a lot of people are too intimidated to go talk to him.
Right.
And so I just started a relationship with him because I was just like sick of waiting around going like, what are we doing? I just want to cut through the red tape. So I just be like, I'm just going to go ask Vince. And I was like, yo, what are we doing? Option A or B?
Yeah.
Or check it out. C? No? You hate that? Okay. What about B? No? A? Really? Okay, well, all right, at least I know we're doing option A. Now I can work on
about
it.
it.
And then I come back out and says, Vince said we're doing this. And everybody goes, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, I just went and asked him.
Yeah.
We're just sitting around waiting for some, you know what I mean? So that's how I started, like, kind of having a relationship with him.
Yeah.
But it's actually really easy to talk to.
Yeah.
He likes to discuss stuff and have feedback and stuff. I mean, we started butting heads eventually because we just couldn't get on the same page. You know what I mean?
Sure,
but even then, there's no, like, personal animosity or anything.
Right,
you know what I
right,
mean? Nothing like that. We just kind of speak different languages. It was like mutually beneficial relationship for 6 years or 8 years or whatever. And then it's just like, okay, I got to go do this. You go do that. Cool. Good
How
luck.
much credence can you lend to what I've been described as the Vince McMahon mind trick, where you go in with an idea that you've been given that you absolutely hate, and you walk out like, that's the greatest thing that I've ever thought of to do. Let's do it.
Well, 100%.
Yeah.
You can walk in there like, I'm going to tell him what I think. Then you walk out like, he's a genius. And then afterward, you're like, no. Damn it, he got me.
That's so cool. How about now? I mean, what's the? I mean, you're still in obviously the very beginning stages of this thing, but the creative now, is that like really group text messages and whatnot, or like how's it working? Like
Google
it feels
Doc.
like it's more just cool dudes coming up with stuff sorted together or independently, or
That's literally exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's just whatever.
yeah,
I've had this much direction from anybody.
Wow.
You know?
Whoa.
That's awesome.
God, that is
I
so
mean,
cool.
Direction as far as like, you have to do this.
Right.
Or like, I haven't really been given any bad ideas by anybody that I've worked with, really. You know, just stuff that's like, oh, cool, we could do this, or, you know, collaborate a little bit and mix it up, and, you know, like, just, and I love doing that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
If me and you don't see eye to eye, I'd love to sit. We can talk about it for 2 hours.
Yep.
Because this is what I like to talk about. Because at the
Exactly.
end of it, we might be like, "Oh, we came up with an even better idea."
Yep.
Oh, great. But the there's a very distinct feeling of first match I had outside WWE was in Japan, and I had this strange, distinct feeling that I didn't expect. You have like the ref has an earpiece in WWE, and producers constantly talking to him, and Vince is constantly talking to him. So it's like that. It's like chatting. It's like bubble heads in your ear all the time while you're in the ring, and eventually it's almost like you're putting on a show more for them because you know what they want, and you just are sick of getting yelled at, and you just want to get this over with, kind of thing.
Right.
Like, grab a hold, do this, do that, whatever. And even like more so than even the audience or yourself. So like nobody's benefiting from this. But 2 minutes in the first match I had outside WWE, it was like this weird silence, like tumbleweeds blew by, like where there wasn't these talking heads in my ear.
Right.
It was like we just put the kids to bed, and now it's quiet all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm alone. It was like a feeling of being alone in the ring again. I went, oh God. I was like, I don't even. What do I do? I guess I'll just grab this guy's head and. Oh, I remember what this is like. We're off to the races. All right.
That is so.
It was like
cool.
it was like starting over.
Even
Like-
with that being said, like the fact that now you can collaborate with other people that you're working with instead of having those talking heads, like how much of a relief is that now that you can, you know, quiet down and actually do what it is you want to be doing?
Yeah, I just am much more comfortable being in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not not dissimilar to stand-up comedy. Like I listen to some stuff where like some guys will talk about like I don't think I remember the stories specifically enough to reference them, but you know, stuff where like guys would talk about how they do a special or whatever, and Comedy Central's telling them like what to wear, telling them what jokes they can and can't tell, and stuff, and that.
You're exactly right.
And they end up in a big blow up over it, and they go screw you because they're like that's not my act kind of thing. You know, I'm just like I think I was listening to one of the like I think it was one of the Rogan podcasts, and like Bert Kreischer I think is the guy, and he was like talking about how he was on this TV show where he was making a bunch of money.
Yeah.
That he got because of his stand up.
Yeah.
But then so he gets his TV gig. But the TV gig, they're just giving him a script, and he's not doing, and he was like wasn't happy or fulfilled because he wasn't like in. So he just went like, screw this, I'm just gonna go back to stand up, even though there's no guarantee of any money. But I'll be, and now he's doing better than ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like, there's such a, like for me that clicks for me. I'm like, yeah, like I'd rather be in control. I'd rather like do something. I'd rather think of an idea, and it suck.
Yeah.
But it was my idea, and I go, ooh, missed the mark on that one.
Yeah.
Back to the drawing board, because it's fun.
Yeah.
Rather than, like, do somebody else's idea, because I'm not going to take any satisfaction, even if it's good, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm with
I
you.
have no fear of failure. You know, like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, oh, that didn't work at all.
Yeah.
Or, like, I tripped and fell and busted my face, or I tried to move off the top rope and looked like an idiot and fell. Like, big deal. Well, whatever, you know. Back to the drawing board, you know what I mean?
But you always been like a special kind of talent. I remember you talking about how like bringing the red wagon to the ring against Brock Lesnar, and if there's anyone who's going to make that look remotely cool, it was going to be you. And I've always kind of appreciated that about the way you handle yourself out there. But like I was at Double or Nothing, and seeing you stand up on top of that stage, and like you just like looked up into the sky and like had your arms outspread. You look like Tim Robbins at the end of what the fuck is that movie? The Shawshank Redemption. I just wish the rain had started and you could just inhale. You just feel you look so free, and I'm just like, look at this dude. He is you had, I mean, just what did that moment feel like right then and there when it was you had debuted? Here you are, the crowd's loving it, and you're free.
It was pretty surreal.
Yeah,
very surreal because it's been doing the same thing, Monday Night Raw, same thing for like just so much sameness.
Yeah.
And I've been imagining this in my head for so long that it was like once it's actually there, it's almost like surreal. Like it's like wearing shoes that are so comfortable that you're not used to them.
Yeah.
It's like being uncomfortable in your comfortable shoes.
Yeah.
Like my pants fit so good now that I'm like, whoa! Look at this! Look at my leg, you know. It took me like what, like
yeah.
I don't know, like ice skating or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
sea legs.
Trying to use different sea legs. That's good. Like I just got onto the ground or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
Such
10 different analogies. They were all bad. It was basically an indescribable feeling.
Yeah. Such an iconic moment because I don't know if that we've really ever had that feeling in wrestling's history. The story of the guy clearly bogged down, right, by weird writing and creative storylines and this and that to truly have blatant, complete independence. I feel like thousands of wrestling fans probably quit the job that they hated that next day. There's probably hundreds of people still unemployed,
Right.
waiting for chasing their dreams because of that moment with you. Crazy.
Well, also, it's like such a big risk. Like, did you ever think, you're walking away from WWE and you know what's going to happen? You're going to go to AEW. It's a cool secret. And then you get there. Was there ever for a second like, man, like, if this doesn't pop right now?
Yeah. Yes and no. Kind of like, I didn't know what they were gonna do.
Because there had to have been that thing when you're up there and you see it's like it was real. It's like this is exactly what we all wanted, and it's like now it's happening. I made the right choice.
Oh, that 100%. You know, but I didn't know if they're gonna go nuts or boo me or whatever. I didn't know.
You really didn't.
How can you really know?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But you know, the crowd. I think the crowd.
I had this like feeling in my gut that like it was gonna be okay though.
Yeah.
Like, and I
That's the
think
best
everybody else did too.
Because all the rumors.
I really wasn't worried about it. I mean,
Right.
I was said out loud a few times like, well, let's hope that this is good. And I don't know, you know, but in my gut, I was like, I feel like
It's gonna be fine.
No.
Yeah, because
especially because I think a lot of people thought like they didn't really believe I was gonna leave until they saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know,
You said surreal, like that's what it was for us in the audience. It was like, it was the rumblings, the rumors, and the dirt sheets, whatever, and then it's like the weirdness of WWE announcing your departure, and it's like, is that planned? Is that part of something? Like, what's going on?
I didn't have nothing to do with any of
Yeah.
that. Dude, I was just chilling, man. Like,
We debated back and forth for weeks what that was about. We were trying to really, because it was so surreal.
It was a delicious
I mean-
conspiracy theory, though, of like, oh no, this is a plan, and
Well,
he's
it
going to come back
has
as a
to be.
different
Of
character.
course, they're
It's gonna
trying
be
to
a thing.
control the thing. It's very
Then to
bizarre.
see you walk by, it was just like, oh my god, it's happening. And then the melee went down, and it was just amazing.
Are you talking about upstairs?
Yeah, upstairs. Exactly.
Oh,
When
man.
he whirled up to the Comedy Store.
yeah, incidentally, it all worked out good for me. So
Yeah,
Absolutely.
man.
That's
Could
all
I
good.
ask a question from one of these guys online?
Yeah, they could go.
They wanted to ask what was the difference. What was it the same in NXT as WWE when you were coming up? Like, what was the biggest difference there?
Like on the main roster?
I don't understand the question. Sorry.
Yeah, me neither.
Like when you were coming up and you were in NXT
But it wasn't
versus
NXT.
going to the main roster, or
I mean,
when
we-
OVW?
Yeah.
Well, was it
Well,
OVW?
no, it was
I was in FCW,
Yeah, he was in
FCW.
Florida Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
which was a
Precursor.
much different animal than obviously the main roster,
Mm.
but also a much different animal than what NXT is now.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the way like the previous developmental territories had been, where it's kind of like you don't exist because they want you to appear. Like now, people from NXT come up and people know who they are. They are promoting them as new prospects, more like kind of like college sports are to pro sports. Like we know who these people are. Whereas before it was more like they tried to make it like you didn't exist, and then you just pop up on WWE TV, kind of thing.
Right.
So it's a different world.
When did the decision to want to work with New Japan come up? Because like AEW, you did the debut, and it's like, oh, this is awesome. Then it was like, oh, now he's gonna show up and fight Juice Robinson. I was like, what?
It always been, that was kind of one of the first things that was kind of on my kind of bucket list sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like I didn't even say like, even if I retire from WWE, like I'll go have one little mini run in Japan, just to have like one. I've been over there a bunch of times, but like one real little run, however big or small, in one of the traditional Japanese companies.
Yeah.
Because like I was always been a fan of Japanese wrestling. You know, having the VHS tapes back in the day.
Sure.
You know, so just kind of like gotta scratch that off the list. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So luckily, New Japan just called me. Perfect.
Like, hey, that worked out.
Yeah, because that's kind of what I was looking at anyway. But before I even got a chance to like get anybody's number or whatever, I was just like, oh, okay. And they're like, whatever you want to do. So I'm like, sweet, let's do it. Put me on a plane, babe. Like, let's go.
So cool.
That worked out pretty easily, and it's all working out. I mean, I got a little ambitious with my schedule, at least for like the rest of this year.
Sure.
Like maybe 2020, I'm trying to keep it a little more open. Don't know how much work is going to be necessary with as far as like, you know, who knows, like media and stuff with like AEW, and that's going to be the primary focus. Like we're all dedicated as hell to like making sure this thing becomes what it can be, and we all hope it should be what it should be. You know? And just so much passion with everybody that's there. But there's also just a lot of self-interest where I'm like, I want to do this and side projects and this and that, you know? Like, I'm in LA now, 'cause it worked out great because I was already here.
Yeah.
And it's because I got two secret film projects I've been working on.
Okay.
So I'm out of my mind with exhaustion right now because I've been working nonstop for the last 2 days, doing all kinds of stuff.
Not the Marine
days.
10.
No.
Okay.
No, cooler than the Marine.
All right, I love it.
Possibly the greatest action movie of all time.
Okay.
Is there any part for a fat guy, who, like a
security
underdog?
guard. Yeah.
Maybe a security
Give me
guard.
that extra
in
fat
thing.
guy by
Give me
now.
an extra
Yeah.
fat guy. Fatty and the Mox. That's what I'm pitching you right now.
I'm killing all the bad guys, man. There's plenty of room.
I like it.
I'll slice 3 throats at one time. You know?
Johnny was in The Equalizer. You
I
ever
almost
see
got-
that movie with Denzel Washington?
I'm a huge fan of The Equalizer.
Hey, this was the guy in the warehouse. He was
the
Ralphie.
security guard.
Really?
Yeah, he was in the
All
whole
right,
thing.
high five.
He's lost a lot of weight.
I have lost
He's
weight.
lost a lot of weight since.
I want traps like this man. Went.
There you go.
Heck yeah.
That was a great movie.
Yeah.
Have you like talked to a lot of guys in New Japan? Like, how do you prepare for the G1? Like, everyone talks about that being one of the most grueling sort of things you could do in pro wrestling, just because how unorthodox it's set up. Like, it's the only round robin tournament in wrestling I can even think of, especially on a big scale.
It's very unique, very cool. It's kind of like March Madness, the way the point system and everything is. I don't even fully get it. I'm a little confused. I'm
Been hitting the head a lot.
study up on the rule book, but I've always been a fan of followed New Japan and fan of matches, the G1, and so forth. But it wasn't even something that it wasn't even on my radar at all, not at all. And but then when it got floated out to me, they just said, we'd really love you to be a part of the G1 this year. And I'm like, well, isn't that like really hard? I don't know.
right.
And then 30 seconds later, I went, well, shit, now I have to do it.
Yeah.
Because how can I say no? How can you say no to that?
Right,
It
totally.
could be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, all right, just gear up and go, you know?
Totally.
And,
Do you have to say no a lot?
I'm starting to now because there's just not enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to do everything.
Right.
There's so much stuff that I just can't do because there's just not enough hours in the day, days in the week, weeks in the year.
Yeah.
So I'm having to really fuck people off now because I'm just like, I'm sorry, I just don't have any more time.
Right.
Like, you know. So
What is?
I got a little ambitious with trying to fit everything in. There's some stuff people don't even know yet that.
Come on, break it. Oh, God. We're not going to end this podcast.
What is your
Stuff
schedule
where you're
like
just
right
gonna be
now?
like, oh my God, you're gonna die. What?
Like, what is your schedule? Like, how many days are you out? You talked about not wanting to do too much, but you're packed. What's it look like?
So, doing a ton of training, working on working on film stuff, training, trying to get my ass fucking in shape for the G1. Been really working since. But when I left WWE, I was in kind of terrible shape because my back was really fucked up, and I was having a hard time training properly. And they kept me on the road, and they're putting me through tables and taking bumps and shit, like right up to the last minute. So like, and I'm just kind of hobbling around, can't really do much. So I kind of went in. New strength and conditioning coach was like, okay, we're gonna start over and get my mobility back better than it's ever been.
DDP yoga?
Agility, strength. Nah. No offense to that, but no.
Right.
And built a whole like program out to kind of like peak at right before the G1. So right now we're in the shit thick of it.
This is the shit?
Where the workouts are.
Yeah, you look like crap, man.
No, it's awesome, but it's really
It's just
really
sore all the
hard.
time?
Like the workouts are like, oh god, this is gonna suck. But I feel confident that I'm now in shape
That's awesome.
to do this.
What type of workout do you hate the most? Running? Is it cardio? Is it
It's legs.
I actually used to. That's one thing I took out was like long running. Like I've always been like a runner just because like it makes. First day of like wrestling in junior high, they're like run.
Yep.
That's just the first thing. So you just start running. This is what you. But it breaks down your body a lot, and
You wrestled in Ohio? High school?
yeah.
How old are you? We may have wrestled before. You may beat my ass.
Oh, you're in the same weight class.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding.
I'm 33.
Oh, me too.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm actually older than you. My God.
So yeah, I used
my
to
life
just run
together.
for like recreation.
Yeah.
Like, wake
Yeah.
up in the morning because it'd be like a good stress reliever for me. I feel like it would like kind of like melt my anxieties, kind of
Yeah,
thing. You know? It felt like I
absolutely.
needed, but that's something I'd take out because I feel like it's ineffective for what I'm trying to do.
Right.
You know, so do a lot of like sprints and stuff on
Yeah.
like one of them non-electric, what do you call it, self-propelled treadmills, stuff like that. A more like explosive sprint type
Yep.
stuff as opposed to like just run 10 miles kind of
Yep,
thing. You know?
right.
You're not training in the desert anymore like you did for Brock Lesnar.
No, yeah,
That was my
Go out
favorite.
there all the time, man.
That was you're out there running
Yeah.
in your jeans.
You talked about, you mentioned your schedule and just how everything is just filling up out of control. I mean, there was some hubbub earlier this year about the fact that New Japan ran a show in the United States and their U.S. champion wasn't there. And some people were saying that it was AEW who had held you back from doing those dates. Like, is there any credence to that, or do you feel like that's maybe against sort of what AEW's sort of creative freedom thing is
I
about?
wasn't booked on that to begin with.
Yeah.
It's like that. There's nothing there.
Yeah,
Totally.
right.
I'm doing something else.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
weekend. So
Yeah.
I was previously engaged when this happened.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start on July 13th.
Love it.
I'm into.
I do have a question for you. How do you feel about having like Dean?
There's a guy in the room.
it's me.
This is a real professional situation. I just got used to like the feedback in my ear. I don't know what I was expecting.
Like, is there a 6-year-old talking in my soul?
The Phantom of the Comedy Store? That's the ghost of the Comedy Store.
Who are you talking to?
That's what it sounds like. Boo, it's me, the ghost of the comedy store.
I do have a question. How do you feel about having someone like Dean Malenko, one of our favorite wrestlers of all time,
Oh, yes.
being part of AEW now, and having a familiar face from WWE now in AEW?
Oh, he's great. Yeah, to the knowledge that he can impart on a lot of people who've never, because he's been a producer for WWE Raw and SmackDown and pay-per-views for years and years. So, and there's a lot that's going to go into like live TV. Well, there's a lot of great talent in AEW that's just never worked in live TV before, and it can be different. There's some stuff you got to kind of be aware of. So, a producer can really help a lot of times. Like as much as you don't want to be overproduced, and that is hard for me. Sometimes you need a producer to be like, oh, you got to remember the commercial break or whatever. I don't know. And AEW might do things on live TV a lot differently than WWE does. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
We have no idea what's going to happen. That's an exciting part about this, is that it's everything is a first try.
Yeah.
I mean, we have 2 shows.
Right. Give us some time.
We've only had 2
Little
shows
time.
ever.
Right.
But So it's gonna be fun. I'm sure there'll be like some screw ups and mistakes and stuff that we learn on the go, and then stuff we figure out that's never been done before. That's awesome. That's revolutionary. And there's gonna be all the ups, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting thing, man. It's like some people are already kind of like talking shit a little bit about AEW, like, well, I don't know about this stuff yet. And it's just like you said, it's only been 2 fucking shows. But what I'm curious from you is, like, if you had your druthers, what are sort of the key ingredients that AEW needs to mix into the product in order to really kind of stand out from what everybody's used to? I mean, we've been, inundated by WWE for so long. Like, what is it going to take from your perspective that, like, what needs to be the most different or distinct?
Interesting, like, because it's not one thing. It's not a few things. I think authenticity might be the number one, because that you can kind of apply to the whole product, because every wrestler is going to be different in the ring, different on the mic, going to bring a different package to the table. Different people are great for different reasons.
Yeah.
I think what makes them all great, whether they be in WWE or AEW or wherever they are, is if you just let them be themselves.
Right.
And you don't put them in some kind of box, and you just let, let Joey Janela be Joey Janela.
Certainly.
Let Darby Allin be Darby Allin. Let Cody Rhodes be Cody. Let the Young Bucks be the Young Bucks. Let Kenny Omega be Kenny Omega. And that's what AEW is going to do. That I think, and we got so much great talent already that talent is going to shine very, very, very bright. Not that anybody else's talent isn't, but I think that's going to be a calling card of our company, is that everybody is just allowed to be themselves and be the best version of themselves, whatever that is.
Right.
And whatever type of wrestler you are, you should just you should just unapologetically be yourself and not try to be like fit into some mold of what a top guy here is supposed to look like or be or do, or how you're supposed to act, or like, fuck all that. Just be you, whatever that is. The good, the bad, the ugly, all parts of it. You know what I mean?
Don't
Exactly.
put the
I
mods in a
think
box.
like the same thing applies to comedy. When you see someone up there, like, struggling against their own authenticity.
Autism.
Sorry, I've had one beer.
Yeah, totally.
You totally see that.
Totally with comedy, because
Yeah.
like, what's funny is like, it's hard. You can't put any. I don't think you can really like define what something that's funny is.
That's different
Right.
for
You just
everyone.
look at something and somebody makes you laugh
Yep.
just because the way they are. Because they're just there's.
Like I do a live
I
show.
can't describe, like the funniest people that I know that just crack me up. I can't really like define why
What's
they're
funny
so
about
funny,
them?
but they're uniquely them.
Yeah.
And that,
I do a live show, Kill Tony, where we watch young comedians do stand up for a minute. That's the only part that's prepared, is they write their own minute, right? But all the funny stuff that happens, and including the guest that's always a big comedian that's on, is always in the moment. And they get to watch it happen live. Normally, the things kill, and sometimes if it doesn't, people are like, wow, that joke missed, and this is a live show. This is real.
Mm-hmm.
So when it misses, it makes it that much greater when the great things hit. B, there's no writers. With that said, we get a lot of laughs in that hour and a half. Meanwhile, every show I've ever worked on as a writer, the bigger the writing staff, this is true, the bigger the writing staff on any production, the less funny it was.
Yeah.
Whether it be one of the Comedy Central roasts, in which sometimes there were 6 people in a room, and then maybe last year maybe they were trying to rotate in 18, doing different 1-week stints instead of people that really had their minds wrapped around it. So not only do I agree and say one-on-one everybody should really be making their own things and everything, but the bigger the writing staff, the worse it gets. And I think that clearly that's a big problem that the WWE is having, is just this massive, because everybody wants to get ideas in, so people will say anything to get an idea in so that they can keep their jobs, so that they feel validated, so that they think they earned a paycheck, right?
I think that's a pretty good description of, not in every single case, but that's a pretty good description of what it was like when I was there, which wasn't that long ago.
Way back.
Yeah.
Like
Back in the
There's
day.
a lot of
Throwback.
There's a lot,
Christmas
lot
time.
of writers and a lot of people trying to get there, and ultimately Vince is gonna tell it. But the thing that I hated the most about it, I mean, not but one thing that just drove me crazy is that like all these people are giving these opinions and writing these words and throwing the input, and this he's got to do this, and he's got to be like that, and that's. And nobody's asking me my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like the lowest guy on the totem pole in my own situation.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck? Like, when really, it should only matter to me.
Right.
Yeah.
It should matter to
You should be
anybody.
the
As long
executive
as-
producer of your
As
product.
long as I'm not like, we don't want swearing on our shows.
Sure.
Okay, as long as I'm not dropping F-bombs or doing anything like that, then you should just let me do it my way, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think.
Like-
I'd say the more hands in the pot, the more or cooks in the kitchen or whatever. But I like a thing that people are going to say about AEW is that like, oh, they got 4 EVPs.
I was gonna
and
ask about that,
They're
yeah.
all just like the boys are policing themselves. This will never work.
Inmates are running the asylum.
We need guys in suits, and we need people to be accountable to office people and all that. But it's like there's far less cooks in the kitchen in AEW.
Right.
It's like there's producers and there's Tony Khan, who's very involved and is super passionate, and he's in the mix. He's in there in the trenches, with everybody, and it's all just ideas being thrown around, but ultimately nobody's telling anybody what to do
Right.
because there's no one governing like hammer coming down.
Right.
At least, I mean, we're 2 shows in. Keep
Yeah.
that in mind.
Right. Right.
Who knows who know? I don't know. But so far, the experience is basically like no different than a bunch of comedians getting together and being like, okay, well, there's an audience up there. You want to go on first?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should go on first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go on first. Okay, who wants to go last? Me. I'll go last. Okay, what do you, and just what are you doing? What are you making jokes about? I don't know. Okay, and you
Yep.
just a bunch of comedians. We all know they're good. And just all want each other to do good, and we'll do whatever for the benefit of the show and for the audience, and like let's just have a good time, man.
Yeah.
And that I think the audience. It's one thing I noticed in 2 shows that the crowds have been so great. And granted, again, we're 2 shows in, but the crowds are just there to have a good time. Like they're not trying to. There's like no negativity yet. You
Yeah.
know? Like, everybody just wants to have a good time.
Are you
It's a party atmosphere.
Yeah.
For sure.
So cool.
Are you excited to get back on TV? Because after hearing you speak for as long as you have right now, I can't wait to see what you guys do.
Well, I can't wait either, man. It's super exciking. I mean, it's going to be challenging. I mean, it's going to be an all hands on deck deal.
Yeah.
It's getting my engines revved up.
Dude, we have no idea what's going to happen, but we're making history.
Yeah.
There's never been another.
Yeah.
I mean, when's the last time there's another prime time, like when we're not head to head with WWE or anything like that, but it's a national company that has interest. That it's the first time in a long time. I mean, like TNA was in prime time for a little bit. That didn't last, and this is. I mean, basically since WCW. So,
And the wild thing is that was what? That was Vince McMahon versus Eric Bischoff, and Vince is I think it's so clear that he's going all frontal war mode, right? With this new Heyman Bischoff thing, putting them in position, because we were talking about recently that seems like a move for guys like us, our age group, our generation, that gets Heyman, that loves Heyman, and that is like, ooh, Bischoff, wow, this is what an interesting shakeup. It's almost like he's playing for these fans that clearly went to or more obsessed with AEW and New Japan and all these things. It's almost like he's doing damage control. Is that sort of the vibe that you get from that in a way?
I mean, they definitely made some kind of move. I don't know what. I'm not there, so
Right,
I don't know. I mean, Paul Heyman. Israel Smart. It sounds like that is a great idea. So I hope that I just hope like Vince lets them do their ideas,
Right.
and it's not just like it's not just like, well, he's head of creative team, but I'm just telling him what to do, kind of thing. So and Eric Bischoff just like behind the NWO and all those. He had a lot of good ideas. He presided over a lot of crappy WCW shows too.
All right.
But also, he's probably pretty motivated to make you forget that part of his resume.
Exactly.
So he's got a lot of time to think about it. So he's probably got a lot of good ideas. So I hope they give them like some freedom to, I just want, because the more wrestling is good, the more wrestling fans there are, and the better it is for everybody.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I'm not into this like war mentality really. The more I'm thinking about it, because I'm like, the better we're all doing,
Right.
Yeah.
the better for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
I'm just like,
that mentality.
I'm a wrestling hippie about it at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and so are we. I mean, that's exactly it. Competition. We know competition's going to make everything great.
Well, those were the best times
Yep.
when it's like, oh, I'm watching Raw for a little bit, or I'm going to switch over to Nitro. Oh, this is good, too. Why is everything good? Oh, shit, ECW's doing something crazy this week, and I got to watch that, too. You know what I mean?
And the irony,
And
right?
if there's more places, and it's better for the wrestlers, if there's like more
Right,
places,
right.
if there's like 4 different cool things going on, then maybe the best fit for you isn't where you are.
Yeah.
Maybe you go somewhere else.
And isn't it crazy that back then, when WWE had to catch up, when they were losing because the other organization had all these big names and big stars, that what they did to win and catch up was let Mick Foley and The Rock do whatever they wanted. They stretched. Remember when they cut that 10-minute whatever, that crazy rock sock connection, like all that
This
stuff.
is your life.
Right.
This is your life.
And it was like Vince was mad until he saw the numbers the next day. And it's like, just my point is like he was letting those guys be them and do them and take chances. And that's how he beat the thing with the big names. And now, look how this has changed to where the AEW has the freedom to do what they want, right? More freedom, at least. And it's gone, the whole thing switched, and now they're the competition. It's so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I don't even know how much of a... at this point, at least, it's definitely not the Monday Night Wars.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
We're not... First of all, I hadn't even started yet. I keep saying it, but again...
Yeah, when specifically is that next show, by the way? No, I'm just kidding.
July 13th in Jacksonville. Fight for the Fallen.
Heck yeah.
Don't miss it.
We
Free on Bleacher Report Live.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
I was trying to trick him into telling me when the TV show starts, but then...
Oh, we don't know yet.
The hell was I saying? Oh, yeah. So at this point, I feel like, for one, we're not head-to-head on the same night. For another thing, Eric Bischoff was quoted as saying he was trying to put Vince out of business.
Right.
At least that's what legend says.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, we're trying to destroy the other company kind of thing. It's we live to beat the other company. At least that's the vibe you get or whatever from that side. Now it's just like, we're over here doing this. We have an audience. They're always going to be here. It'd be a fool's errand to try to take them down. It wouldn't be good for the wrestling business to try to take them down.
Yeah.
We're just like providing a good alternative.
Yeah.
Showing that there is a world outside of that can be, and it's funny because what I heard is that like the people who bought Double or Nothing, I don't know how true this is, but there's a shockingly little crossover between the people who bought the Double or Nothing pay-per-view who would watch a WWE pay-per-view. And I don't know how true that is, but it's almost like we almost like have a different audience.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if WWE's hot, that audience will sample them. Their audience will sample us. We'll create new wrestling fans along the way.
Absolutely.
And it's a good time to be a wrestling fan.
The best time.
It's a good time to be a wrestler, and I think it's only going to get better in the next few years. So
it's a great
it's
time
very
to be
exciting.
a wrestling fan.
Speaking of freedom, how good does it feel to not wrestle in jeans anymore?
Oh, dude.
I heard a pop from out there.
I wrestled in pants the other night.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Because it was like
Tax.
There was a lot of barbed wire everywhere, in fairness.
Oh yeah, I felt like it was a bunkhouse. I brought both.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. It was the last second. I was like, I feel like it's bunkhouse gear.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
this is a bunkhouse gear.
Yeah, this is a
situation.
fight.
Bunkhouse gear. So,
Why is it called bunkhouse gear?
dude,
Like the back in the day, bunkhouse brawls when Dusty Rhodes, he'd wear jeans and a t-shirt, and all the guys they'd brawl. Yeah.
Yeah.
come on, dude. You
Sorry.
host a wrestling podcast. This motherfucker.
Co-host.
No. So, What was I saying? Oh yeah,
The jeans.
yeah. So I was put on these tights, man, and like my boots didn't fit, and I'm having a boot nightmare. I'm trying to get new wrestling boots.
It sounds like nightmare. Like that's like a comedian's microphone going off. Your boots being too big. Like there's all this extra
I got
space.
these
Gotta break
clunky
it in.
boots. I got these tight boots. Nothing's working. I'm like, fuck it. I would just throw on some wrestling shoes, go out there, because I'm like, the plane's leaving for Japan. I got to be on it. Throw on some wrestling shoes in a bag. So more
That
of these
looked
tights.
awesome, by the
but,
way.
you got jet lag. You're flown internationally. I'm sure you know how it is. You're all confused. It's a new environment, new fans. Never been there. Whatever. And on top of all this, I just feel naked. Because I look in the mirror, I'm like, "Why are you wearing your underwear, dude? What's going on? And what are these stupid shoes you have on?" So I'm like walking out of the crowd. I'm in these. I feel super naked. It was bizarre. But like by the middle of the match, I had forgotten about it, and I was like, "Oh yeah," because I used to wear tights all the time.
Right.
I used to wear, and I'd walk around in like nothing but tights. I walk around in like sandals and trunks.
So does Johnny.
Yeah.
Yes,
It wouldn't bother me at all. So it took me a minute to get used to it, But
There's nothing worse than that feeling. I went the first time I got booked on one of those oddball amphitheater shows where I was doing the biggest crowd I ever performed in front of. Like it was like 14,000 people or whatever. And I remember I'm like, "Ooh, I'm gonna get decked out for this." And I bought these shiny gold, high top boots, basically.
Nice.
And I fucking
My wife
rocked
would
those
like
things. But right before I walked out, I could feel it. Like I'm just like, see, people are just gonna be staring at my shoes. I'm thinking about what they're gonna see from far away, and I'm like, I'm gonna be gold boots guy. That's what they're gonna think. And then I was thinking it through my whole set, the whole time with the microphone. I'm like, oh, they're watching my shoes go this way. They're watching my shoes go that way.
How long of the process of finding those type of trunks, like with the barbed wire, was that? Did you see like?
No, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Well, I had a few different ideas, and those ended up being the best option. So I was like, I like them. Cool, let's go.
It's interesting you mentioned jet lag because it came up again recently on another show we were talking about. We were talking about how, obviously, I'm pretty sure it's not an insult to anyone by saying that there was some struggles in the match that the Undertaker and Goldberg had in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. And, I'm a huge, we all are, right? Massive Undertaker fans. But I've laid out every defense for him, period, in that. And that was one that came up. It's something that I can't. But you never get better at it. I mean, you try things. You try to run maybe for 10 minutes and coffee and the right amount of tons of water, right? But I can't imagine having to do a pro wrestling match after flying in. Do you ever make adjustments and get in a day or two early to places if you can? Or is that something that you even have a choice with sometimes? Or
definitely not in WWE usually, unless you get lucky or something. Usually, you really get used to it. Usually you get used to it. You guys travel a lot. You are used to you probably have your own routines and systems. Every Friday, if you do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you wake up I take either red eye from West Coast or wake up at like 6 a.m. So basically don't sleep like an hour, go to the airport. I stopped being able to sleep on planes because my body's too messed up to get into a comfortable position. So basically, might nod off a little bit, but so basically you're on like no sleep. So Fridays most of the time I'll just get into town and just stay in that town that night and just go right into the hotel and like take a nap for like 2 hours.
Right.
But like that 2-hour power nap will be enough to get me going, or maybe even I'll drive that night and drive like 4 hours.
Exactly the same, and that's if you can get early check-in at the hotel. Right?
Yeah. Hey,
sometimes that's impossible.
Marriott points, baby.
I
I got Hilton Diamond.
There you go. Love it.
Marriott Platinum. I got all of it, baby.
Yeah.
But so I became a master power napper.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times it would be like I could just, as long as I can get flat. Airplane's hard, but as long as I can get flat. So I'm like, you become like a Navy SEAL,
right?
Where you can just sleep anywhere, anytime. So it could be in a locker room, just be like, I'll roll under like a table, just put on my headphones, here's the key, Tibetan singing bowls.
Hey, I use those!
Some motherfucking
Yep. My wife showed me that 3 months ago. You literally use it on the plane. It's incredible.
Throw a fucking t-shirt over your eyes,
Yep.
put your feet up, and just kind of like try to zonk out. 30-minute power nap. Then I'm like, good to go. Now I can wrestle 30 minutes. Every once in a while, though, you need that just like, okay, I got to shut everything off for like, if it's 20 minutes, just quick power nap, even if people are stepping over you in the locker room or whatever.
Right.
Johnny's pretty good at the power nap also.
Me?
Yeah, see,
he does like-
you were just gone.
Blacked out.
He's actually been asleep for the last 26 minutes. He's about to come back with a vengeance.
Someone say something about jeans.
How helpful is the young lion that you kidnapped in New Japan, Shota Umino?
Well, he's going to have a lot of responsibility. I'm going to have a tough tournament coming up.
Yeah.
I got 9 comedy matches to get through. I got 9 8-minute comedy matches I got to do.
That's amazing.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to kill myself.
I'm going to squeeze in my own little selfish question here on top of my obsession with The Undertaker. I'm also completely obsessed. A big reason why I got so deeply, because when I started stand-up, I took a little break from watching a lot of pro wrestling and whatnot, but we really got back into it, 5-6 years ago, and one of the main reasons was I fell in love with Bray Wyatt. I just think everything he does is amazing. So I'm going to ask you, because it seems like we were talking about recently, he has a lot of freedom, right? They sort of trust him to run with his own thing.
I don't know. There's obviously a lot of creativity that goes on there. I don't know where it all comes from or whatever, but a lot of that stuff he does on the Funhouse,
right?
It's a lot more of just like how he is.
Right.
He's a very fun, gregarious, funny, goofy guy. So
he's fun.
Good,
he's cool.
It's good to see that.
Oh, that's right. You weren't here when he came to the store that night.
No, I wasn't. I was on the road.
We talked about Rob Zombie.
Talked about what?
Rob Zombie.
Oh.
That's fitting. That's on brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a lot of charisma. He's a very fun guy, so it's good to see, fun part of his personality out there on the deal. So that's going to be cool to see how that goes.
Yeah.
Anybody you have in mind that you'd want to wrestle now that you're free?
Almost got it.
Oh yeah, man! Like it's cool because pretty much every possible opponent I could want is basically on the table.
Yeah.
And and it's all gonna happen. You know, so it's
That was what's so cool about.
Don't need to be in a rush. There's some stuff where you're gonna be like, dude, oh really? Oh god!
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, man, that was really cool seeing you in New Japan. It was like, man, see, that's what I wanted more of. That was the Dean Ambrose I wanted. Like that guy, seeing that guy. Now I make like dream matches in my head. Like God, especially with you in Japan, like those different styles. Seeing you in that style, it's like it meshed good. And I'm super stoked on whatever.
Definitely gonna be a challenge. Like I'm doing the G1. I'll leave next week. That'll be a lot of all new, fresh opponents, all new, fresh style. Yeah. I've only had 2 matches over there so far, and it's different. I've worked there a bunch of times with WWE, but that's different than the actual New Japan audience. Like I didn't even know if they'd know who I was.
Yeah.
Worked out pretty good, but
does the language? I'm sorry.
I looked at it like I was like, okay, I'm a completely new person. I have to completely get over from scratch. That's that's that mentality I had. I was like, just gonna drop everything. I was like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I can't even picture this in my head because I haven't, been on my own for so long. So I'm like, all right, just drop all preconceived notions of anything and just kind of just go out and fucking see what happens.
Yeah.
If it sucks, okay, this is our starting point, and we'll start from here. It's a pretty good starting point. That's just kind of like. So it's kind of like I got a baseline now, and I'm just gonna keep working, adding new things. You know what I mean? Because I want to keep growing and getting better and learning and stuff like that. So that's the G1's just a great opportunity to learn and grow and so forth, and be out of your comfort zone and being like in the ring in a situation you're not familiar with.
Yeah,
and being in front of a new audience with a new style. Now you're like a novice again. So it's like, and you got to not be afraid to do that, because otherwise you'll never grow. So it's gonna be fun, It's cool because like now I don't have to have the And I have like it's all. I have like no pressure on me whatsoever.
Yeah, you're having the most fun.
I don't have to have like the pressure of like having to like make it.
Yeah.
You don't want to like quote unquote make it when you're a kid. Because you're like, okay, I don't want to have a regular job, and I want to be a pro wrestler. So like, but you don't really know what you're chasing. You're chasing some like carrot that's dangling or whatever.
What's making it
But
mean?
what does that even mean?
I never understood that.
I don't eat carrots.
I kind of already got to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, now I just like want to learn,
Hell
have
yeah.
fun,
You're an artist, man.
get better,
Yep.
create things, create moments,
Mm-hmm.
just live life.
Yeah.
And do the thing that I like to do every day, and that's the
It's
win.
crazy how quickly you got in the business of creating moments too, right? When you left I mean, you've already had so many there. And you come out.
I mean, from the start, your debut on the main roster with the Shield, like that was a huge moment. You know what I mean? And so it's like that's kind of been the MO of you in this business, is making big moments. And I know there's a lot more to come.
Yeah, and trying to, got.
Is there anything
Lot.
else you do out of the ring for fun when you go to Japan? You eat like crazy sushi or anything fun when you're visiting there?
Yeah, I like to walk around and see the sights. Go out to the steakhouses and stuff.
Nice.
And, I was trying to find orange spray paint in a alley in Tokyo and find a hardware store. It was quite challenging.
Orange spray paint. You have spray paints?
I'm in like Tokyo in the morning, and I'm like, shit, because I didn't get a chance to do this jacket up like I wanted to do it. I was like, oh damn. So, but they don't have like a Walmart. There's a lot of countries you go to that are real similar to America, and that you can kind of tell what the signs mean. Being in Tokyo is like being on a different planet.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like being in an alien planet. So I'm trying to trying to find the hardware store. I'm finding a lot of like porno shops, noodle shops, but I'm not finding hardware
Right.
stores.
Sometimes
I found
both.
this weird, strange hardware store in an alley, and somehow acquired a can of orange spray paint. I had no idea how. Spray painting this bitch up in the alley.
There's a hardcore.
Looked great on TV though. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hardcore what?
I was gonna say hardware district.
Oh, there is?
It was a failed joke.
Oh,
Never
very
mind.
nice.
No.
Very nice.
Brought to you by
Clearly
Miller
not.
Lite.
I did want to ask, so you still have a pretty good relationship with a lot of the guys still over at WWE, I'd imagine, like Rollins
for sure.
and Roman and those kind of guys.
Yeah, for sure. The only problem I ever had with anybody really is Vince,
Yeah.
and that's not even like an actual problem. Like if he called me right now and he just wanted to ask me what I'm doing and how's it going, I'd be like, "What's up, man?" Like totally cool. I mean, I've never had a conversation that didn't involve wrestling.
Yeah.
But if he were to call me and just be like, "Hey, what do you think about? Did you enjoy the Comedy Store?" I'd be like, "Yeah, it was great. How you doing? Cool, bud." All right. Like, it's just creatively we just stop speaking the same language, and like creative problems are not life and death problems. You know, it's like it's all good. So this is
That's awesome. That you still have a good relationship. Is like any job that I've left, I never took that.
Well, because it was interesting.
Yeah, I
because
mean, I think so. I'm sure I'm like persona non grata.
Yeah.
There, or whatever. But it's like, hey.
Well, it was interesting because like Rollins, especially recently, has been very vocal online about sort of his opinions on WWE and other companies and things like that. I know he got into it kind of with Will Ospreay for a second. There was a quote he gave to Bleacher Report where it was, let's see, he gave you your props saying that you had given everything to the company and your heart and soul in the travel schedule, the injuries, work in the ring, everything, But at the end of the day, he took his ball and he went home. And he went elsewhere, at least. And I think it's a little presumptuous of him to get on a podcast and talk down about the company that gave him such an opportunity. I just wondered what your response kind of was to that. Because, I mean, from my perspective, it didn't seem like you were shitting on the fact that, it's shitting on WWE. It was the fact that, like you said, creatively you felt stifled, and now that weight has been lifted.
Yeah, like there's this episode of Frasier I was thinking about.
Never would have thought you'd make a Frasier reference.
Now, baby, I hear the blues are calling. Toss a lid and
The dog Eddie is real depressed.
Yes.
Right? And he's all sad and mopey, and they don't know what he won't eat. and they don't know what's wrong with him. The vet doesn't know what's wrong with him, so they hire a dog psychiatrist to examine him, and then the comedy ensues for the next 26 minutes. But then at the end of the episode, they find his toy was like stuck under the couch.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden everything's good.
right.
And he's like, oh, and he's not depressed anymore. And they're like, oh, it was just the toy, the thing that he likes to do with the toy.
Right.
For me, like, that's all it was. Now that the kind of like the fog is just continually lifted more and more, and I kind of realized like how kind of like deeply unhappy I was there.
Sure.
That I didn't realize at the time, because I'm like, well, I'm making a bunch of money and like it seems like it's going good. I'll try it,
Yeah.
Now I'm like, now I'm kind of realizing how much it affected me. But now it's like, oh, I found my toy under the couch. Pro wrestling again. That's all good. Like, even like when I did that podcast, it was like, that was like a couple weeks removed.
Yeah, you were fresh.
I hadn't debuted at Double or Nothing yet.
Oh, yeah.
It had just been months of me being silent while everybody else is talking about my career and my life and everything and telling me what I'm going to do and where I'm going to go and what's happening. Because I just stayed silent the whole time. So that was a frustrating time, just to hear everybody else talking about you when they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Right.
And, so it was like my first words. So it was like, I was real jumpy. Like, it was like pretty emotional, But it's almost like, you ever like fight with your wife or girlfriend or whatever, then you have some sex, and the next morning you're like, what are we fighting about?
Right.
Oh, that's so stupid. Now it's like whatever it is, like a month or two later, and I'm like, I could never replicate that podcast because I'm just like, what? What's that mad about?
You got it out of your system.
Like, it's all good.
Can I ask a question?
I'm all good.
Let me because we're on the subject, you hold on to that, because a through line of this podcast has been how closely stand-up and pro wrestling are connected. And now we're talking about depression, which is a big thing in the stand-up comedy world. You're right. When you say you get to hang out, we laugh a lot, we do. And the flip end of that is like, whoa, sometimes, opposite reaction, this and that. We just lost a friend. He killed himself out of nowhere a few months ago. Truly one of our closest friends. And
I saw,
And point is it hits us all a lot sometimes. And sometimes. When you went through that, even though you're living the pro wrestler dream and all this, right? What it appears to everybody, but we know how it really is. Is there anything for the people listen to this, that is there a trick that you use to help you get yourself out of a funk? Is there something that you picked up on that you found out works for you? Sort of like how Tibetan gong baths help fall asleep. Is there something that you used, or was it only when you truly were finding freedom? Was it really just a dog toy, or was there something that got you through those really dark times?
Yeah. No, it's all in hindsight now. I'm like the dog toy reference is like, now it's like in hindsight.
Right.
Yeah.
And even, it's all in hindsight. Even when I was talking to Jericho and I said, like, I didn't plan on saying that.
Right.
It just kind of like, it just like came out. I was like, shit. Because, when you say the word depression, it's like, now you're putting yourself out there. Now you feel like, now you're taking a risk, because people are going to be like, oh, especially in my situation, because that was the one thing afterward I was thinking, like, man, people are going to be like, oh, you're making a bunch of money and you're WWE champion.
Yeah.
And like,
I think it's the opposite.
It's very real, though.
Whatever.
Yeah, I think those are the dummies that deserve to be dumb, that would have that opinion. I think the smarter people were like, holy shit, this is as real as it gets, which is what we love.
Like, in the moment, as soon as that came out of my mouth, I'm like, oh, that felt really good to just get out.
Yep. Hell yeah.
But I didn't even know it was like, it wasn't even real to me, because I'd always try to be like, no, everything is good.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything's good. I'm
Push.
just doing the job, punching the clock, working 9 to 5, living the once I said it out loud, I was like, oh shit. It became real, and I was like, oh, but it's all good now.
Right.
Like, now I can. So, if I don't really have, if I had any advice for anybody, it would just be like, if you can identify that, like, don't be afraid to identify that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and don't be afraid to be like, just be honest with the situation,
Right.
Because it can only get better from there.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and don't be afraid of what anybody's gonna say or think or
Yep.
do or whatever. You know, because just keeping shit to yourself only exacerbates problems, and that's when you start
You said it there.
doing other ways to
Yep.
be it drinking or
Yep.
taking pills or whatever. You know what I mean? You don't get into that shit. Just talk about it.
Yep.
It's so much easier.
You're 100%
And just-
right, man.
Just talk about it. Be like, damn, this sucks. Identify the problem, and then be like, why? Where the fuck is my dog toy? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I get it. And
Yeah.
then you can be like, okay, well, now I've realized just by talking about it. And I'm not a fucking psychiatrist by any means, so nobody, but
No, of course, but this helps.
now that I've
There's-
identified the problem is I hate this job. The problem is I'm not satisfied with my fucking Prius and I want to buy a pickup truck. Whatever the hell it is, you know what I mean? And then you can fix it.
Matt loses his dog toy all the time. You're always looking for it.
I wonder if there's any like fans that followed your career and like saw you, you're unhappy in WWE, and then you come out and then like you found your smile again. If they're ever like, hey, it's like that Frasier episode. With the dog, right?
It's a good show, man.
Hell yeah.
I've no fear of telling people the things that I like. I don't care. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
I like death matches.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like Frasier.
Yeah.
I like Looney Tunes.
You can like
I
both.
don't give a fuck.
I would have pegged you as a Niles guy.
Oh yeah. For sure. The whole cast is great. Brilliant.
What?
I love that.
Where?
Okay.
No. Did you watch any other sports? Are you a fan of like team sports or anything?
I
like
watch a lot of MMA.
Ah,
Basically,
this guy.
only sport I follow.
Yeah,
Big
me
weekend,
too.
big
I'm an
weekend.
MMA, WWE guy. Used to be baseball and basketball and pro wrestling, and now it's just MMA and wrestling.
From
That's
a
it.
sports perspective, to me, like I used to watch like baseball when I was a kid, or fall football a little bit. Like we'll go to hockey games,
Those are fun live.
I used to go to a lot of hockey games.
Yeah.
But they just don't have any stakes to me.
Right.
anymore.
Mm.
Right.
Like this in UFC, like the stakes are so high.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Bellator, or
Yeah.
what MMA in general. Like
And it's such a battle of styles there
like,
too.
Yeah, it's just so much more interesting to me. Like the stakes are like if somebody misses a free throw, like okay, your team lost, like
Right.
that sucks. But like, you miss a free throw in MMA, you know what I mean? You might
Yeah.
get your brain spilled across the campus.
And you
know?
might never be the same after that. It's not
Yeah.
just a loss. It's if you get a head kick,
Life-changing.
Yep, life changing.
Yeah.
Who you liking over there in MMA?
My boy Swagger, 2-0 now.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, he's doing great.
It's, he's got a fight boner. He's got a phoner.
I love it, man. Dude, I appreciate you so much for sitting down with us, man. Eddie,
Yeah.
you got anything extra?
Evil
Did we miss
Genius.
anything? Evil Genius, what's up, bro?
Yeah, you didn't even give him a mic.
I feel like this is the question that everybody's going to eventually ask.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the question that you probably both know the answer to and have no idea. But do you think you'd ever end up going back?
Oh, I'm surprised I haven't got one of those since yet. But I mean, you have to say never. 'Cause, like,
Literally, the contract said.
It's like, and that's the answer everybody gives. Is you say never. But it's like I cannot imagine the scenario right now.
Well, you always got your jeans here.
The way you said that.
But also, like 15 years from now, 10 years from now,
Yeah.
the whole thing could be different,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like who knows? Maybe the WWE that I left, I could never go back to.
Mm.
I would rather work at a grocery store.
Yeah.
I don't mind working at a grocery store.
Work in a warehouse.
You hang, stock shelves, pick boxes off the truck, listen to some music, get some good exercise. $6 an hour.
You could wear the same outfit
You know?
that you wore in WWE. There too.
Exactly. I could totally do that. I could be a bike courier, fresh air, just
I like
pedaling
that.
around, delivering some stuff.
God, if you came delivered
that's
me
a
a
good life.
package,
I thought about being a like one of those Postmates guys.
Yeah. That would be some shit.
Shoot for the moon, man.
Wonder how much extra dough they make.
Be like, God, I would love if you delivered me some Thai food one time.
Yeah.
If you're considering a bike master, I would just say invest differently.
Little financial advice from the
Yeah.
evil genius over here.
But you never know. In 10 years, Vince could call you like, John, I've been watching Frasier. I got a hell of an idea for you. I got a toy.
Your finishing move is now the dog toy.
I don't.
The double dog.
I don't see it.
I love it, man. Well, dude, we certainly appreciate this, man.
Yeah,
We hope you had a good time.
Gonna get you up there to see a comedy show now. Get to have
Absolutely.
some fun.
Tell me some jokes.
Gonna see it right now.
A bunch of people are about to tell you some jokes, man. We hope you enjoyed the show. Tony, where can they find you in the meantime, bro?
Everything's at TonyHinchcliffe.com. But whatever John wants to promote should be first. What are
John's gonna give
what are
him
we
the
talking
the
about?
main event spot.
I have a Twitter now.
Yeah.
Whoa,
I've never promoted my own Twitter
Do it.
before.
Wow. Give it to us.
It's not. I don't do much. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
It's at Jon Moxley.
Yes, sir.
JONMOXLEY.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have an Instagram. I'm not in that yet. I might get in that though. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't really.
That's
I don't
the
know,
fun
I
one.
don't know why you need both. I don't understand.
More fun. I think
uh,
Instagram's more fun.
Okay, maybe but as of now, no.
Yeah.
But, AEW Fight for the Fallen on July 13th from Jacksonville. The a lot of the proceeds from that are going to go to victims of violence, and so it's a really good cause. And I gave them my jacket that I wore, the vest I wore at Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
It's a historic show, so if you're a merchandise or memorabilia guy, keep an eye out for that because it goes to a good cause. So all you memorabilia freaks out there, get out your checkbooks and let's bolster this thing up and to the winner go the spoils, and the spoils go to a good cause. So do that.
Love it.
You were so much fun, man. Thank you so much.
Oh,
for
that's
coming.
fun, man. Thanks for having me.
Heck yeah.
Of course.
Come back anytime.
That's it. Shit. Where do you go from there? That's it. We love it. Appreciate you so much again. Everybody give a big round of applause for Jon Moxley.
Hey.
Glad we got to make this happen.
Big pop.
We'll catch you guys next time, and never forget the Store Horsemen are your hookup. Never. Ooh, God, I fucked up. Holler if you hear us.